Like you guys started off as like literally like a one room convention, like one
Actually, it's
event
two.
hall kind of thing.
Actually, it's two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one for
two
Fursuit
rooms.
Lounge, one is actually the event.
Yes.
It was quite okay. It was quite okay.
Yes. We agreed to fork out a bit of money that we were thinking that would go down the drain anyway. So we just YOLO and rented the halls and just started this.
Yeah.
There was traction. About 80 plus people came for it. So we decided to continue on the next year and so on.
You're tuning in to the Fox and Burger podcast, where we bring you closer to the Asian furry fandom, one episode at a time. I'm Michael the Matcha Fox, and today we're visiting Malaysia to talk with CT and Foster, both of whom help organize Malaysia's only furcon, FURUM. In this episode, we mainly focus on FURUM. We discuss the beginnings of FURUM as a space in a convention center, how FURUM is organized, and finally, the future of FURUM. Unfortunately, due to nausea and stomach sickness, Burger won't be joining us for this episode, but don't worry, he'll be back in the next one. So, without further ado, sit back, enjoy the smell of nasi lemak, and enjoy our Malaysia trip number 2. Okay, guys, welcome to the podcast, CT and Foster.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi there. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, well, you guys have been on the list for a long time. I feel like we always say that, but it's just because, like, I don't think we've got to talk to anyone from FURUM. Not just yet, at least.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have been busy, and I think at the time, we're still kind of small, right? So I guess this is the right time then.
Yeah, we interviewed Halissa. I think it was like, oh my gosh, like when was it? Like a year ago, I think. And then I can't remember if we interviewed anyone else from Malaysia. But yeah, you guys were always on the list. We've done like LAFC, we've done Infernity. We haven't done JMOF yet, but yeah, we're finally here in Malaysia again for FURUM. So thank you guys so much for being on the pod.
Likewise.
Yeah, welcome.
We usually start off the podcast episode very simple. So let's keep the order with like CT goes first and then Foster. So CT, can you tell us like your fursona name, what your fursona is, and how you got into the fandom, like just briefly?
Oh, all right. So yeah, my fursona's name is CT Wolf. My character is supposedly a wolf dog from
Really?
Obviously it was it's based off Balto, when I watched it at the time, right? So that was the inspiration pretty much. And I think that kind of answers the other part of it of how I kind of got into the fandom, where I started off being a fan of Balto in probably the late 90s. Well, I had seen the VHS. I didn't see it in the movies. Then in like, I think 999, 2000, early 2000s where I watched it at my friend's place again, and then on TV again in 2001. And I don't know, I just got hooked on it. And I came into like the Yahoo groups portion where, well, FA didn't exist at that time. So there was like the Balto League, and that was where I kind of met other people who like Balto and the movie, and just started off from there.
What about Baltosaurus? Were you also like on Baltosaurus?
Not really, but I think the person who runs that page is probably there, but we just mostly had chats on Sundays and all, right? And he was actually there when
nice.
When someone, I believe by the name of Kimbo, one of the members, she actually offered to draw my fursona, or made a fursona for myself, but based on one of the characters that she drew in her fan arts, I guess. Yeah, and that was how it turned out to be, and I just gave it a name, CT Wolf, being, well, during the crazy Counter-Strike craze during the late 90s, early 2000s.
So the C stands for Counter-Strike? What does
it just stands for counter-terrorist. So yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
It's
the
actually a very simple name. Yeah. So that's how I came about to the fandom.
Gotcha. How about Foster?
Yeah, I'm Foster Cole, and I'm just a black and white border collie. How I got into this fursona is I just got this suit auctioned off from this maker called Modru's Fur. I think it's Modru's. Okay, so I actually had this fursuit first way before I started the other fandom. So I just go on with it, and I became this fursuit became my persona. What do you call that? Fursona. And how I got to first join this fandom, right, is by meeting CT. and that was before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was before. That was before 2000. I think 2015. And during 2014, I was so interested to meet the local fandom. I actually went on to this to meet Night Dragon at the what they call this Fur Affinity. So in long story short, he introduced CT to me, and I got to DM him at there, and yeah, that's how I became friends with CT, and that's how I became a part of furry fandoms.
So you guys been friends for like over was that over 8 years? Was it?
Yeah, should be 8 years by now.
Plus seven plus years.
Yeah.
Oh, 8 years. Yeah.
Around
yeah,
that, that's good.
Wow. So almost 10 years.
Yeah,
Happy anniversary.
yeah.
It was an amazing journey.
Yeah, well, it's some first basically through, Night Dragon, who again Singaporean friend, whom I knew quite a while back.
Oh, really?
But he went to the States, right, to pursue his masters.
Mm-hmm.
And found a job there, and then he's just so-called living the typical American furry dream of like going there, conventions every month, that kind of lifestyle. Okay, I mean it's fine, it's what he wanted. So
Right.
So yeah, and like basically Foster, I think, knew of Night Dragon, and that's how he referred like Foster to me. Yeah. For myself,
Night Dragon is he's like the all black dragon, is that right?
Black and red.
Or am I thinking someone else?
the new one's black and red, but the old one is like a black and white dragon.
Black and white.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. For basically for my,
I think you might have met him in Fur Affinity. No, sorry, you might have met him in VR chat before as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Name sounds familiar.
Basically for myself, it was like, again, other than the Balto League, right? Because FA didn't come by that early. So one of the earliest people that I met was actually K9. I'm not sure you know of K9, because this kind of dials back to the my previous statement when I said I joined the Balto League in the Yahoo groups, and we had MRC chats. So around like 2003, 2004, there was a new member by the name of K985. As usual, we asked ASL, and then the L location turned out to be Malaysia. So that's how I found another person who has a similar interest in Malaysia, right? And that's when I got into contact with K9, and that's also how I met Marvin, pretty much. Yeah.
So, but he was a furry. Like, he wasn't just someone who liked Balto.
He was also someone like Balto, and I think he also kind of again went into that direction, I suppose, because everyone started to have like nicknames and some form of persona or fursona, right? Again, like from the fan arts, right, you can see that even like original characters, people making characters that look like or seem to fit into the Balto universe, right? So that was where we kind of got that idea of like making a character that is something like a wolf, a dog, or again something that assimilates with the universe. That's where it started off. So K9 was probably also from there. And then it was only like in 2004 and 2005 after I asked him to create one of the first drawings, a commission for my character that I printed on a shirt. He printed it and he was passing it to me. So 2005, I think 4 or 5. That's when I first met him and Marvin. Yeah, and that's how it started off.
So Marvin's also another Malaysian, I guess long timer, just like you. Yeah. For the people who don't know, I mean, I know who Marvin is, but to the audience, he's another long time, Malaysian fur in the
Marvin.
fandom.
Yeah, you hear his name a bit later, more in the interview. But yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up. Marvin is one of the earliest.
Right.
First, I met Didi. I call as Didier, K9, and Marvin. Mm-hmm. And from there, of course, they introduced me to some of the others. That's how it started off.
Yeah. I'm so happy to meet another Balto fan, because I think I told you this. Well, I think that's how I got interested in furry. It's not like the moment I joined the fandom, but it was more like how I came across like this anthro kind of furry subculture. And I didn't really know too much about Balto League at the time, but I was more into Balto Source. I think I was pretty cringe back then. I'm not sure if I had the creativity or courage to create a persona, but but no, for me it was Balto. Balto was the entry into the fandom in a way. I think for some people it's the Lion King. We interviewed Kofu before, so he really likes the Lion King. That's also another really good quote unquote furry movie. But yeah, for me it was definitely Balto. Have you seen the sequels?
Yeah,
like
I've
2 and 3?
seen all of it. 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that might be another story for another day, but sure. So let's go into our next topic here. I want to talk a little bit more about Malaysia, the country that you guys are living in. Again, I think we've only interviewed like one other Malaysian furry on the podcast, so I don't mind talking a little bit more about Malaysia. So like, I know that you guys are from Malaysia. You guys were born and raised there. What like landmarks and like what places should like someone visit in Malaysia if they've never been there before? Like if you can name one or two, like maybe one from CT, one from Foster.
Yeah, I'll do just that.
All right. Well, for me, there's a lot of landmarks, right? But if they wanted to see something which is a bit out of town, well, normally we'll ask them to go up Batu Cave. That's one of, I guess, the places that is a bit more distinct. Yeah, I mean, we have tall buildings and all, right? But yeah, Batu Caves is one place that I think not many places have. And again, it's like mostly a place of worship for the Indian folks, especially during their holidays, right? There is like a small temple inside the cave, which is the interesting part. So, you know, people scale up the steps to the cave, take some photos and all. You can see the wildlife there as well.
Just to clarify for the audience, the Batu Caves are located like outside of Kuala Lumpur, right?
The outskirts. I wouldn't say that far away, but still.
It's about 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's not that far, but it's reachable.
Yeah.
So I would say that would probably be one of the places. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm actually born in Malacca back then. So I actually raised up in Malacca for the first 10 years of my life. So yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah. So actually Malacca are very famous for their red houses, whereas Malacca is built on used to be the very first city that was discovered by the Chinese, and you have the Portuguese what they call this walls, castles and structures.
Yeah.
And Malacca is actually a place of a historic site and places where the culture is built lah. And you always can spend days eating famous food like the chicken rice ball, the oyster omelette, and the hand roll roast as well. We call this popiah as well. Yeah, if you're going down to Malacca, you have a fun time over there as well. Staying over there and then see the night lights and as well as the shopping sites and the historic cultures.
I actually didn't know you were born in Malacca, so like that was where you were like born and raised, and then like I guess later you moved to KL.
Yeah, I was.
Is that like for like work, or is that you just following your parents, or?
I was just following my parents.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For me, I'm mostly in Petaling Jaya and Kuala Lumpur. Again, I guess like one thing to clarify, a lot of people say that PJ, KL, Petaling Jaya and Kuala Lumpur, kind of like the same, but they're actually different states. It's just that Kuala Lumpur is in the state of Wilayah, Federal Wilayah Persekutuan, which is a very small, one of the two federated states, which is a very small section right within the state of Selangor, which surrounds it. Yeah, so a lot of us, few of us actually stay like near the border. So you're technically crossing the border all the time. Yeah.
Do you think that like most of the fandom is like concentrated like on the Western Peninsula though? Mostly,
yes. Though of course we do have decent amount of like folks in the eastern side, especially in Sabah. Sarawak maybe a little bit less, but Sabah there are a number of them there. I would say among the states which has like in terms of furs, I think Sabah is easily one of the few in the east that has the most.
Let me know if I'm wrong, but like, is it easy for them to get to the Malay Peninsula side though? Like does it cost them like a lot? Like if they're gonna take a flight or something, like would it be hard for them to get to like the peninsula?
It's
the Western Peninsula.
It's pretty much a 2-hour flight. Not too.
It used to
what
be.
About the cost, though?
It used to be about $400. I think recently they have inflated to $600. If I didn't recall wrong.
MYR.
Yeah, in Ringgit, Malaysia.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I guess we can add on one more place. I guess Foster and I would probably be interested to always go or bring friends to the Genting Highlands. Right? area,
Oh, of course.
right?
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
of course it's fast. It's
Genting
not only
Highlands.
a good place to drive to, but also like again, other than the hilltop casino theme parks, right? There's also some temples, a pagoda. Halfway up the mountain, you get to see a pagoda. You get to see, as we call it, the multiple stages of hell in Chinese folklore, or I'm not sure if it's considered as a religious folklore, or I can't really find a word for it. But yeah, I know basically it just showcases all the stages of hell if you're a bad person before being evaluated for reincarnation.
That's like a park?
I think something
like a
to
park?
do with
okay.
that is more like a religious sculpture.
It used to be old Chinese folklore there anyway, because you had to went through 18 levels of hell before you can, be judged. Yeah.
So we have a smaller version of that. I mean, compared with Singapore's bigger one at Haw Villa, right? So yeah, it's there. Of course, the nice thing is the weather, and we always like bring folks up to I think Fursuit around there is you can get some good photos from there, and the weather is good.
So Genting Highlands is that's like a city on a hill, or like if you guys can describe it a little bit more for
like
me.
A
holiday
resort, right?
Yeah.
Resort.
Like, what do you think, Foster?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like a holiday resort for visitors around the world. Especially if you are kind of a gambling type of person, there's a place to go.
Yeah. Oh, you can gamble in Malaysia?
Yeah. That's only one of the few legal places to do it.
Right.
Yeah, and if you are a driving kind of person, of course you can hop on to my car or CT's car to ride up to the mountain.
Yeah. Maybe because I heard it from like Rain, but I feel like a lot of people love like driving there. Like Rain or Rick, I think they talk about it every now and then. I also hear a joke like the way you pronounce like Genting. Apparently, that can let you know if you're like either a foreigner or if you're from like Singapore or if you're from Malaysia. Is that true?
Kind of. Well, I mean, example, we call it Genting. Some folks call it Genting. So because it's like gentleman, but yeah.
I would have said Genting. I feel like I'm on the side of Genting.
Yeah, so I think
I don't
some
think my thought
foreigners
really
might
counts.
pronounce it that way, but it doesn't matter. Same.
Yeah. Sure.
Still the same for us. Yeah.
What about like food options though? Like, is there like if you have like someone who's never been to Malaysia before and you had to like recommend one dish though, like what would you recommend?
City?
Yeah. Well, I would think that everyone would probably go for nasi lemak as usual, right? Which is fatty rice. I'm quite sure your other interview, if you ask about food, it would probably have brought up the same item. So normally there's a bunch of again nasi lemak places, right? But the one that we normally bring folks to is a place called Village Park Nasi Lemak, which is situated in kind of like a district called Uptown in Damansara Utama, I believe. Yeah, I can't remember. It's just somewhere in Damansara. But yes, it's called the area is Uptown. It's called Uptown. Basically, it's located there in Village Park. Only one shop that sells nasi lemak there, and they've never expanded to more branches because the owner is quite strict about the quality and such. And yeah, I mean, it's been consumed by a lot of folks. It's always full, and normally we bring people to try it out there. I would say that it's a good batch of nasi lemak, and I always use it as the benchmark. To compare the other places.
If I can take a step back though, can you explain to our audience what the heck nasi lemak is? They may not know.
Nasi lemak, I guess, well, if literal translation to English is like fatty rice or rice with coconut milk, is basically, well, that's what it is. Very much rice with coconut milk, probably some pandan and other flavoring, right? And of course, it is always served with some sambal, chili paste. I think they normally fry it, dried chilies, like pounded and then fried, cooked, and they'll probably sometimes add it with like anchovies and other ingredients. And of course, it's always, that's the two core elements that makes up nasi lemak. And of course, you have the nuts, the anchovies, cucumber, some garnish, and on top of that, what we like is like fried chicken. So they have
so the protein can be like fried chicken. Could it be like
yes,
beef?
it can be
okay.
the protein that normally we like to go for, like for example in Village Park, nasi lemak would be their fried chicken, which is basically they make a kind of paste, spice paste, and then they marinate the chicken in it and they deep fry it. So that's their style of fried chicken. Of course, you do have like beef rendang, which is like again beef slow cooked with like herbs, spices, a bit of a curry, spicy taste to it, right? And you have like sambal sotong again. With the sambal that they made, you can make like sambal sotong, which is like squid cooked with the chili paste as well. So that's also pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I always love the sambal with the egg, the fully cooked eggs.
The hard-boiled egg as well.
For me. The deep fried.
They'll come with the hard-boiled egg.
The deep fried. Yeah.
I'm getting hungry again.
Yeah.
So Foster, what would you recommend to someone who has never been to Malaysia before?
Okay, first thing you have to remember is Malaysia, right, is a country that's full of many what do you call it, foods from the immigrants, and one of the top three all the top three nationals in Malaysia are actually Malay, then followed by Chinese and Indian. So each of the three culture we have here, we have our own different food. So what CT has suggested us now is actually a Malaysian Malay food, and that is one of the top things that we can introduce to people lah. And for Chinese like us, I would actually brought you guys to the bak kut teh. I don't know whether you heard about that before. It's called
bak kut teh.
It's known as a pork broth. I'll just call that tell that to everyone. And this dish mainly can be found in the Klang area, and they are come in many varieties. Soy sauce version, light version, what do you call it, with soup, even cleared also have. This one, I think we literally grew up with it, and my parents love it. We always eat it, every weekend. Saturday back then when I was young.
I feel like almost every Malaysian I've spoken to, they love bak kut teh. Like that's one thing that they like. I remember like talking to one of the Malaysian furs living in Taiwan. He's like, I just really want to have some bak kut teh. I was like, all right.
That sounds
like, because I didn't grow up with that. I didn't grow up with bak kut teh, but it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah. So other than that, if you're a noodle type of person, we also can have a chow hor fun as well. I think there are some that is a city's favorite as well near his house. I don't know what other name called already.
We call it the Hokkien noodles basically. In Cantonese, we have tai lok mee in Cantonese, which means big teeth noodles. Big two noodles, yes. So it's a big lump, a big lump of what kind of lump I'm trying to do. But basically, it's big thick noodles with black gravy, and it's I guess it's a staple in KL pretty much.
Oh, they come in many varieties. So not just egg noodle, they have a rice noodle as well. They have like lo shi fan also. Looks like the rat's droppings.
It's not made from rat's droppings. It's rice.
Well, we'll flash a picture.
Rat's tail. Okay, to be more, I guess, make it sound better. It's rat's tail. Some people call it rat's tail noodles.
Yeah.
All right.
And of course, as if you want the other type of food, it will be Indian food as well. Indian food is also very, very popular dishes here in Malaysia. Yeah.
Like people like to eat like roti, right?
Probably,
that's roti canai.
One example would be probably banana leaf rice. I think that would be the staple Indian food that we bring people to try out, right? So again, rice served on a banana leaf with assortment of dishes and curry gravy for you to put on. Sometimes they give you a fried dry chili, and then they have, I can't remember what it's called in Indian, but it's like a spice soup or a spice drink that you have it as a side. So it's very flavorful as well.
They say that is meant for clearing your throat. It's actually to relieve your body from all the heats that you've been gathering when you eat all the herbs.
Damn. I don't know if I had that before. I'm not quite sure.
If you want, you always can come to visit us. That's what I suggest. If you want really good food, you should come and visit some of the local friends here, and then we'll bring you out for food as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you guys have always been very generous, I think, to foreigners who haven't been to Malaysia before, and you guys even drive them around. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. We'll get into FURUM stories in a moment here, but I witnessed CT's driving firsthand, and I feel like, man, I don't know what to say.
Have you rode
Yeah, I love CT's driving though. You drove me around, and then it was like with Kusu and them. But we can talk about funny stories about FURUM in a moment here. Yeah, so that I think Foster, you mentioned the food that you mentioned like at first. Did you say it was a Hokkien mee? Was it Hokkien mee that you mentioned? Not the Indian one, but the.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Chao hor fun.
Rice, fried rice.
Yeah, stir fried noodle.
I miss that about Malaysia.
That is the best stuff with the what we call it.
Yeah, the wok hei. You have to have the wok hei.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. Like it is at home. It's kind of hard to cook because sometimes your gas stove doesn't get that hot. But if you can get like a really good gas stove, yeah, the wok hei makes all the difference.
Oh, even they are like what 30-inch wok, and then they just stir fry with it. That is the best stuff.
I mean, weren't you working on your wok?
I love
Michael?
that. I'm trying to. I think you saw my pictures on Facebook, right? Like, yeah, I'm trying to. I made like Indomie before, but like the problem is that it's still I think my stove can get hot. It's just not as hot as it could be, but it's still okay. Yeah.
Do you know if
I don't know if I can make like?
Do you know go ahead. Malaysian, right? How they actually I mean, what kind of size of the gas canister that we are using for doing the wok hei? I think they're using the commercial grades one. They're easily like 50 kilos a drum. So those ones we actually output a lot of heat and there's a lot of flame at the same time.
Damn, decommissioned jet engine.
Almost like that, yeah.
Yeah. No, I love Malaysian food. It's just like, I think it's been at least like 3 years, 3 years since I last went to Malaysia. That's something I didn't mention for the audience. I've been to Malaysia, what was it, December 2018? That was actually my first and only time in Malaysia. Had a great time. I always love telling people about Malaysia because like just as we're talking about the food, like there's a lot of variety. I think you get like Chinese food, you get Malay food, you get Indian food. So I feel like there's always like something new to try. That's something I kind of miss because I mentioned this already in like a previous episode, but like in the States, it's very common to have different cultures like live in the same kind of area or the district. So if you want Mexican food, that's easy to get. If you want Chinese food, that's easy to get. Here in Taiwan, it's like predominantly Taiwanese food, which is not bad. But after a while, like I feel like I get a little bit sick of it.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, I do go to McDonald's like more often. And well, I mean, I go there every so often because like they perfected the taste. Like even abroad, like it still tastes like what I would get in America. So like if I feel homesick, I just go to McDonald's.
Okay, I give you.
And then everyone calls me so American.
I give you a fact. At least, right, you guys have something here. No, our McDonald's doesn't have pork menus. Malaysia doesn't have any pork menu for like this guy the franchises. You know, like A&W, McDonald's, KFC. Yeah, that's all what we are missing out over here. Yeah.
but do you really like pork though? Like, do you actually like crave pork or?
Yeah, I told you about bak kut teh is one of our favorite dish. Which is a pork broth.
Yeah, exactly.
To me, it's not for myself. It's not like really. I mean, yes, pork tastes good, but not something that I really have to have every day or something that you might miss. You know, but I mean, like chicken is to me still good enough at the moment.
Chicken is like the safe meat. Like if you have like Muslim friends, then like everyone always says like. Yeah, like chicken's like the safe meat because then like your Muslim friends and your non-Muslim friends eat that. Yeah.
This guy loves Texas ayam so much.
We call it Texas chicken.
Yeah.
Eat less.
Texas chicken, right? Yeah, Texas chicken.
Yeah, I mean, I ate a lot of Texas chicken when it first came out, but now a bit less because it's just not so easily accessible because of the pandemic. Stores have been less of a running on 24 hours, right? They close early, so not so much, but I guess when it returns back to normal, maybe.
Yeah. From my understanding, like Texas chicken, we call that Church's chicken in the States.
Yep.
So I think they rebranded as Texas chicken in Malaysia and Singapore.
Actually, in around the Asia region, it's called Texas chicken, not just in Malaysia. But, wherever it goes. I mean, if it's Singapore as well.
Yeah.
Other countries, Thailand, perhaps.
It's pretty good. I ate a lot of that in the States. Yeah, like I think it's from Georgia. I mean, I just looked it up. It's from Georgia. It's pretty good. I mean, they know their chicken. Yeah. All right, so you guys had definitely made me very hungry, but I'd like to get to talk about FURUM now. I don't think we've gotten to talk about FURUM at all, like on the podcast, at least like not in like deep detail. So I'm really glad to have like 2 staff members from FURUM. Just to clarify for the audience though, can you briefly explain your positions in FURUMs, like CT, like what do you do, in Foster, what do you do?
Oh, so yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much the chairperson or chairman for FURUM at this point in time, and well, basically it constitutes quite a bit of things. So yeah,
Right.
well, I mean, we do run a lot of different tasks, you know, because we're quite a lean organization. We don't have that many people, so you know, we do quite a bit of things, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's just a title for myself.
Sure. So even if you're like the con chair, like you're still doing like other things to make the con like run. You're not just like directing. Sometimes like you're in the trenches, so to speak.
No, I think people will probably see me on the floor. I mean, panels as well. Taking care of the guests of honor in certain situations.
Yep.
Planning for like the panels, but we are trying to move that off to like another team. Again, we're trying to shift it off to more like niche or
more professional.
Yes, more people with more specific or focused roles, right? And then of course, we don't have a project manager, so I'm the one kind of like you know, looking at the project timeline and poking people about it. I mean, it's just when
because you're the chairperson, so I feel like you have the overall like direction and overall like planning.
Well, we're supposed to have a PM. I mean, a so-called project manager, but that person is no longer in the group. So, I guess there was some again experience that happened that he didn't want to do the role. So, yeah, it's been shifting around, and currently I'm supposed to pick it up. We may assign someone else to be that, but yeah.
All right. So then, what does Foster do?
I'm actually a co-chairman for CT with CT as well.
We
are just a co-founder. So anyway, as for my roles in FURUM, I'm mainly handling most of the hotel contacts, you know, and things that you guys interact with, such as your photo booth, and I set out our first lounge, and as well as the hall layout in general. These are some of the tasks that I've been doing, and as well as sometimes you see me sit behind the AV, the AV counter to run the projector and that during opening and closing.
I always see you with a radio, and you're always like, well, first off, you look really tired. You and CT look really tired, but I always see you with like a radio, like you're telling people what to do. I was like, damn.
But this year was slightly different.
I mean, in a good way, like you're working. Yeah.
But this year was different. We were much more organized and much more spread out in terms of duty. So I was very happy about it. Yeah, so as for going forward as well, we are actually really breaking out our tasks to the smaller groups, which, you know, can lead to better efficiency and better experience for the con goers.
So you mainly deal though, like with, or at least one part of your job is the hotel liaison. Like you're communicating with the hotel about, I don't know, how many rooms you need and like the equipment and stuff. Is that right?
Yeah. When after I lay out all the plannings, and then we understand how many people are going, then we try to ask the hotel to, you know, secure all these things for us, and they were very, very helpful so far.
But how easy was it to get like a hotel in Malaysia to, you know, allow you guys to have like this event? Like, were they even curious at all about like what you guys were doing?
Most of the older hotels that we went to interview with, they are actually quite open about it. However, the newer hotel, they have a different requirements. So far, the one that we have worked with is actually really open to our culture. So they have been helping us quite a lot in terms of like, you know, doing all the impossible things.
Yeah, at least it's been pretty good building a relationship with the current hotel. But yes, as to like what Foster mentioned, that would be his primary role. But you know, again, we're quite lean, so you know, it's hard to specialize in a certain task. Yeah, like especially when we're short staff, and well, actually not really in terms of short staff, but the fact is that our community is still young in this region, and there are not very much like specializations, or let's just put it this way,
or even have enough few experience.
Yes, correct.
That's how I put it.
Yeah, let's put it this way. Basically, people with actual experience that would contribute to a certain role in your organization or the planning committee or the staff, as I call it. So Like, for example, AV, Foster being VP, he still has to run the AV at times because no one else runs it. We don't really have people who like know how to run it. We just kind of like go about it when someone
there's
can
no,
do
like,
it.
AV guy.
We do it. Or like, for example,
and our setup is pretty ghetto.
Yeah. Or like at one point at early on periods, like we don't have that many DJs in the region, right? So again, we managed to get one or two people to just come and try out and all, but in the end it's come to a point where I even just cook up some sets to play on the floor. So that kind of things have happened. So I see we're quite lean in terms of very specific resources. So that's why our roles, while it is what it is, but we do more than what our role needs us to do.
For FURUM though, like who exactly is like in charge of making decisions? Like how does your staff team work? Does like everyone get a vote on these like major decisions, or is there like a committee, like a central committee, or how does that work?
So in some way, yes, we do have a voting system. As a staff member, that is, you would have some say in terms of voting for certain decisions that were made within like our organization. So the best example that I can give is last year in 2022 when we were restarting, we actually had a vote among the staff on whether to limit or not on attendee count. And in the end, we went with limit because more than 50% voted to limit the attendee count. I tell you, I wasn't one of them who wanted to limit the attendee count at first, but because that was the intentions of the team, right? So we went with that, and I have to say...
Well, why did you guys want to do that?
Well,
the time we were very uncertain about the government decision. Am I right?
For you mean like quarantine stuff, or not quarantine, but like COVID restrictions?
Yeah,
or
the reopening of the border. Yeah, we were expecting mainly local attendees.
Yes.
So you're saying like the government might have like an occupancy limit for events?
Yes.
Correct. At the time.
Okay, gotcha.
But again, as I was saying, so that vote counted towards the results, which is to limit the attendee count. So as a chairman, I didn't want to limit. In fact, I can tell you that some of them didn't want to limit as well. But again, the bulk of them wanted to limit, and I think again we respect that decision. And I have to say that that decision isn't exactly wrong. We're quite thankful that we went with that as well. Because again, we didn't have that much time to prepare for last year, and again, it was only after when the government has announced the opening of like the borders, right, without the requirements of a test, and just checking a vaccination, and that was when we decide to restart. So yeah, there is some decision making power for within the staff members. Of course, like for the executive side, it's more of like the funding, location, obviously things that are a bit limited to be decided on based on resources, right? Like money, obviously if everyone votes to have the hotel in JW Marriott, obviously we can't do it because it's not feasible, right?
Yeah.
Voting is one thing, a majority in a vote, but not only that, to execute what was voted, it must be feasible, right? That's normally how it goes about. That's why like while we have artists and all, they in the team they do have like some form of voting power. And the other thing, like guest of honors and so on, right? Every year, and the team as well, every year we will put it up and everyone votes in the staff, and we will go with the one which is the most votes and is feasible to be run or to be selected.
Sure. So there is that sort of like, to say it like democratic kind of like voting system where like at least people discuss things first before you actually like put it to a vote, I guess, and then you respect the vote, like you respect that decision that's been made. Sure.
That's why
appreciate that.
If you notice, we did not have any online events in 2020 because the bulk of the vote is not to have any online events. And in 2021, why we did that FVRM, it's because there was a slight majority of votes that wanted to do an online event. That's why I did in 2021. So if you want to know why, this is the reason why. So we go with that system.
Can you guys tell me more about like how did FURUM come to be? Like who were like the original founders and so forth?
Okay, I'll go first. So basically, back to my initial introduction story, right? So you heard of the name Marvin when we met. So again, we knew Marvin. I knew Marvin for easily 18 years. So
wow.
The thing is, we used to have some small fur meets back in the time, right, when FA just came about, and us knowing a few folks within the Malaysia community, and then of course to Singapore as well. So Marvin and some of the others, like another fur by the name of Canis, sometimes they like organize fur meets, like small fur meets where people join. And then of course, as they started to grow, then there was like Comic Fiesta and those anime conventions that are around town. So they started to have a larger meet sometime around that period.
How were you guys like contacting each other though? Like this is before like Facebook and all that. So were you just like forums and like DeviantArt, or like how were you guys like contacting each other?
Well, the instant messenger,
or just like text messages.
The instant messaging of the day would be
text messages,
Yahoo Messenger. That would be the main means. But other than that, of course, Facebook started to come up, but we haven't really started like our furry profiles there then. I think so. It would be.
Were you there for like the AIM days? Were you guys using AIM as well?
I've used it, but not too much. With some American friends, but not really. Over here is ICQ,
right.
Yahoo Messenger, and MSN Messenger.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, MSN Messenger as well was the other one. MSN was probably the other one that we used quite a bit with the furs back in the day, right? And of course, we had the forum, right, Antro Asia, that was started by Canis and administered by Delta HT, Andy.
Is that still around? Like that you said Anthrasia, is that forum still around?
Oh, that's a good question. I think maybe it's archived or it's there, but it's just not really used. Maybe it's like read only. But yeah, that was the days when we started to have people connected from within the Southeast Asia region. So again, just fast forwarding to how FURUM came about. Again, we were having fur meets and then moving on to like some gatherings during Comic Fiesta, right? And of course, soon after, the first shooting scene started to start off, where I remember I was one of the first few people who got a suit in 2010. And then after that, eventually, there were more and more people who got it, to the point that we started to, hang out with the Singaporeans quite a bit. At least I've been going down quite a bit when I got my suit, because they were the only people who like had first suits as well. And then we joined the events. And then as we got to know them better, we also encouraged them to come visit us during Comic Fiesta, right? So we've been having larger and larger meets during Comic Fiesta every year with people coming over. And as we did that for a couple of years, it got us thinking, whether we should start an event locally. Of course, before that even came about, we did visit some conventions overseas in 2012, 2013. Like for me, it was Eurofurence. And yeah, basically from there, and then we got a bit of ideas from there. And then Marvin, at the point, I haven't met Foster yet, right? So it was just discussing with Marvin. And we initially went to scout out some locations like 2013, 2014, just to see on the feasibility. And then as Foster came in, at that time, it was just two of us, myself and Marvin, right? And then when we knew about Foster, and then we asked Foster if he was interested to join into our endeavor, which he agreed to. So basically, as we did our events alongside Comic Fiesta, we were at that point only comfortable to like run an event alongside Comic Fiesta, because we weren't sure on the feedback, or like how many people would come by.
The attendees as well.
We're not sure of the attendees at the time. So therefore, the safest wing was to rent a room or a event hall during the Comic Fiesta period, because the worst case scenario is that if no one comes, it's just an expensive gathering. That's about it. So that's how we run. So
they let you do that? Like you actually, they let you like rent a room from them?
Not for the same premise.
We actually ran an event hall with them as well. I think it's 2 event halls. It's a small one.
It's at the hotel.
It's like a meeting room.
It's a hotel nearby the convention. Not in the same convention hall as Comic Fiesta, but outside. So that was how we kind of started off. It's just as a safeguard, And so that's how we planned for the first FURUM in 2015 to have it at the hotel near the convention center where CF was taking place. And basically, again, just open up to registration. And, from there, it was a pretty good experience. I mean, it wasn't a failure at the time. So there were people coming by even with the congestion. Again, it hasn't really been a good idea to run it alongside, after trying it once, but it was just kind of like as a fail-safe. We weren't confident enough to break off. But after that first session in 2015, we've finally found some confidence to break out and have our event on our own week. Hence, it's the week that does not clash with like Comic Fiesta anymore. It's 1 week before. So and that's how it started off.
Like you guys started off as like literally like a 1-room convention, like one
actually
event hall kind of thing.
Actually, it's two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one for Fursuit Lounge. One is actually the event.
Yes.
It was quite okay. It was quite okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was back in
2015. So that's where like myself, Foster, and Marvin, we agreed to fork out a bit of money that we were thinking that would go down the drain anyway. So we just YOLO and rented the halls and just started this. There was traction. About 80 plus people came for it. So we decided to continue on the next year and so on.
Wow, really? You guys had like 80 people who came to like the first iteration of FURUM.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's a lot of faith. I feel like that's like, it wasn't like, we're not talking like 20 or 30 people, like 80 people having interest, like who actually went out to go get a ticket, to attend like this new thing, like this new, well, because I would imagine there hadn't been any furcons in Malaysia up until then. Like you guys were the first one.
So we were quite nice as well. We have a lot of foreign attendees turn out.
Yeah, again,
some of them from Singapore,
really?
And then some are from Thailand as well.
Yeah, again, thankfully.
Nice. I bet Polar was there, I guess. Like Polar is one of the, I feel like he goes. Yeah, I had a feeling like he seems to go around.
Was there. But yeah, it was, I guess, thanks to some networking that we had as well, traveling. So they seem to have interest coming by. So it's quite thankful for that as well, for the support. Yeah, that's why like you can see we do have quite a bit of, not that much, but still the bulk of it after the 50% of locals are foreigners.
I know it's kind of a hard question, and again, any of you guys can answer this. Like, what gave you that sort of like that jump from like, okay, like we've been doing like furmeets and small hangouts for so long, but what was like that spark that said to you that you wanted to actually run a furcon? Because like, I mean, that requires like, a lot of money to rent the room, for example, and then like you kind of have to probably like know the pricing. You have to probably think about like how much like disposable income do people have for this kind of stuff. So like, what was the driving force? What was like the spark for you to like make that jump to like, okay, let's actually host a con?
It's more of a bit of our personal finance as well, because obviously you got to take care of yourself before starting up investing or trying to run something, right? So again, like what you mentioned, we were already scouting off a location, myself and Marvin, right? We were looking at it. We have a rough budget, but it still wasn't enough. And then like when we met Foster, and then again like talked about it at least at the time in 2015, like we kind of sat down and we probably agreed that we're in a good enough state to fork out X amount of money, right, to try to run this.
Right.
That was probably the starting point of it. So okay, this is the amount, and then it's just pretty much finding a place with that amount, and we had enough just to rent the room at the time, right? So that kind of was how it started off, and then only we started to figure out the name and such, right? And of course,
so you rented first, and then you figured out the name.
Recruited some other folks to help to create the mascot and so on.
But did you guys ever make that money back? If it's okay for me to ask, like, were you able to recuperate the funds from the very first FURUM? I mean, like you said, you pulled together some funds. Were you able to make that money back, or like half of it, or?
The answer is no. Yes.
We only managed to make a bit of money to brought forward. But every year we've been, running quite well. We don't actually have to, inject a lot of money inside.
Right. Because like mainly the money you get is from like the attendees, right? Like ideally like that would pay back for the like the loan or whatever you get to rent out the space and stuff.
You're right. So
yeah, pretty much.
So that's where our mindset kind of came in, and I think it still stands today, whereby we still run it as, you know, I wouldn't say like something for profit, but more of an interest or hobby, or in some way giving back to the community. Because hey, I mean, to be honest, that money I could have easily spent it for other things, but you know, so it's just exactly. Again, we are fortunate enough to be at a phase in life that we're comfortable enough to fork out this amount of money to, you know, run this, and that's where we're at this point. And as Foster mentioned, so far it's been pretty okay, where we haven't had the need to reinvest or to put in a lot more to get it moving forward. Of course, there will be some amount that we inject every year, but it hasn't been too much from what we had to put in the first year. So just kind of like reinjecting a sum of money that we're comfortable with to sustain it. You know, we're pretty flexible and we're straightforward. You know, if we have this amount of money, this amount of resource, we can only make a convention at this level of resource. Right?
Yeah, exactly. We're kind of jumping into like one of the questions I've had here, but I'll go ahead and get into that question. It was like, what are some of the challenges in running a con in Malaysia? We've kind of already talked about like funding, but like, what about like finding a hotel? Because like obviously you guys moved, like you didn't just stay in that event hall for long. So like, did you find like finding a hotel, was that like a very difficult task, or how was that like?
The first one wasn't really, because we were finding a place nearby Comic Festa to do like a fursuit walk there, which, like, you know, every year we try to wear fursuits and bring people in. It was pretty straightforward at the time. And then the second year when we came out, and we were looking at a place that is affordable and also accessible by public transport. Hence we picked out one of the small hotels, Shah's Village Hotel for the second year. And the rentals were not too expensive. We got all the halls, whatever halls they have. It's a very small hotel, so the fact that running there for 1 year is already enough to fill up the entire meeting rooms that we cannot reuse because it's not large enough for the next year. It's already too large for. It's already large enough or at capacity for that year. So that's why we moved to another one, and then the closest one nearby the area was the Armada Hotel. You know, so yes, and that's the current one that we have now. I think it's a good balance of price per location. That's why we've been quite comfortable in running there for the past couple of years. So far, it's been pretty good.
It's like helpful for us like for abroad, because like it's still like you can get there from like KL if you take like the train, right?
Yes.
Like from KL then you take the train to get to like a
KL
train
Central,
station.
yes.
Yeah, KL Central. Yeah, I'm told that it's not KL Central. I think Rick told me that, and I think he's like, no, it's not Central, it's Central.
Yeah.
All right.
Again, back to like what I was saying earlier, in like, you know, between Petaling Jaya and KL, they're literally border to border, and you can say that Armada is on the border between Petaling Jaya and KL, so it's just right around there. So it's a train ride over and you're in to KL already. So that's why we find that the location is just right so far.
Very accessible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about like trying to, you know, like judge people? Well, because like you couldn't pick a hotel that's like too expensive. So I guess like the Armada Hotel, like it's like not too expensive, but then it's like, you know, like still in a decent location. I guess the idea of like money is always on people's minds. So like, do you find that the prices are like fair for most people, like at the Armada Hotel?
The price, I would say, is okay based on its location and quality. I would say it is, you know, pretty value for money. Yeah, it's not the like best hotel. There are definitely better hotels.
It is a pretty old hotel.
It is an old hotel. But as I mentioned, based on the price per value proposition, it is the most balanced for now, at least until we run out of space.
I think they also the hotel owners are also very good people as well, including everyone that is like managing our event. I really like working with them. We all did. I would say this is the word.
So far, it's been better.
That's really good because like we like here at Infernity, like I think the hotel staff really likes the con. I mean, I can't speak for Infernity, so like what JC told me is that like they have a really good relationship with the hotel staff. And so like they, you know, Infernity's growing and all that, but they don't really want to leave. They don't really want to leave because like they've got like a really good relationship, and like maybe they have like discounts and stuff for rooms or something like that. And like they're just really pleasant to work with, yeah. Until they had to move, because like obviously, you know, if they keep growing, then they might have to move. But yeah.
Oh yeah, by the way, since you came on 2018 and now it's already 2023,
right?
yeah, last year when we ran the FURUM, the hotel has been revamped as well. The place that you have,
really?
yeah, the place you have breakfast is already completely different. All the rooms now is all already been updated to the latest one as well.
Nice.
So you'll be much more comfortable for you guys to come.
Let's flash some pictures of like maybe we can get some pictures from you guys, or for some attendees we can flash it on the screen right now. So thank you, Burger, for flashing these pictures on the screen. When I went there in 2018, it looked all right to me. The hotel, like I didn't have major complaints.
Yeah, the hotel was actually running very, very well back then as well. So I guess it just more like updated the interior and everything. So it's more to 2010 type of standards or 2020 type of standards.
You were mentioning from 2022 that's like the year that you guys came back, right? How did it feel though to finally be back after, what was it, like 2 years or something like that? You know, saying that you couldn't do the cons for like 2 years and you come back in 2022. How did you guys finally feel?
Well, I would think that it's like awaking a giant who has slumbered for a while.
Yeah.
So for us, it's I think as Alexa puts it, restarting the engines and all. I mean, we were.
Yeah. Were you anxious at all though? Like, were you like scared about like what was going to happen?
Not really. I mean, to be honest, we were quite comfortable sleeping for a while. Isn't that right, Foster? What do you think, Foster?
Yeah. It's like you guys were like on a 2-year vacation. It's like, oh, okay, now we got.
Yeah. What do you think, Foster?
Okay lah. The way I put it is like, at least after this amount of time that we have been resting, I was just hoping to run this con again.
Yeah. So you felt bored just staying inside and being on VR chat. Like, okay, I want to go out and meet people now.
Of course.
No, it's I don't know. I just having people come together again, it would be very nice.
Yeah.
Of course, you want to have like that physical gathering. I still think that at least this is from our opinion, that it's very hard to replace a physical event. It's just not the same, right?
I agree.
Again,
totally
it's
agree.
To me, it's just a very simple, dynamic decision that so long as if all the conditions are good to go, then we can restart. That's pretty much how it is. So obviously, the only downside is that the main issue, as I mentioned again, is the resource, and in terms of time, since normally we plan earlier, but this time we didn't have that much time to plan for, right? So therefore,
really?
Again, like I said, because of the announcement from government that people could come in by around like April, May. So that's already almost half a year gone, and then we really start to plan. So we lost a bit of time there.
What were your numbers like though? What your numbers like for 2022?
2022 again, we limited the registration cap to about 250, right? The total number,
Did you hit that?
definitely it's hit based on the rough estimation. I mean, the calculations are with the attendees and with like including volunteers, panelists, staff, and the rest. It was 275, I believe.
Oh wow!
So about the size.
What's the max capacity of the hotel though? Like what's like the actual like legal capacity of of your space?
There's not really like a fixed capacity, but if you're just going by the ballrooms and the limit space on the amount of meeting room space they have, maybe I would say in range about 600 to 800, depending on the setup.
Wow.
So because the thing is, there's not that many rooms in the hotel as well, right? I think there only was, again, as I mentioned, 600 to 800 people could be staying overnight at a hotel, depending on how many people you squeeze into a room. But again, they don't have.
They're only about 200 over
They don't
rooms.
have that many. So I'm already coming to a point where some rooms have been over capacity, and people sleeping with sleeping bags additional beds in the rooms, right? Like 4 people in a room.
Wait, so you're saying how many people can sleep? Or what's like the capacity of the hotel? Is it, you said it's like 600 people who can sleep in the room?
Plus to 800 plus. 800 would be
I think that's more like convention hall, right?
I mean, in terms of the room as well, I mean, imagine if you stuck in 4 people in 200 rooms, that'd be 800, right? Pretty much, right? But that would be like over if it's a totally like max capacity, you know, like really people squeezing 4 people squeezing the room, you know, things like that.
Or more.
Yeah, there are some rooms that are designed for 2 person. There are some rooms that are designed for 6 person. So yeah, you can have the average of 800 if you want. 6 to 800.
So you guys limited what the numbers to? Was it 250 last
time,
year?
Yes, because that was based on what we have
at the time. And you hit that number, but you had in reality you had like what 270 something people like come.
Yes, because like we had like some additional registrations, and for some panelists and all who were shortlisted, right? Those who did not get a registration, we said that okay, it's fine if you're shortlisted, you can get a slot, right? So that's what we did at that point in time. And I think like the numbers, it's pretty much about the same as when you came by, just under 300, I think. Because actually it was 2018, so still be about under 300. Yeah, it wasn't until yes, it wasn't 2019 where it was our largest, and then now we just scaled back. But I mean, I think everyone already knows that we have finally booked out the entire level 3. So this year we already have the entire level 3. So we're ready to bump up the capacity.
Nice. First off, I'm glad that you hit the limit in the sense that like, you know, people were really eager to come back. Like that's always good, right? Like it's good to get whatever max capacity there is so that you have more attendees, you've got more money, and you know the funding and all that.
Of course.
And there's like still interest.
Well, interest is not really a problem because we've already, again, this is already true observation that the limiting factor is actually a good point in terms of running an event, because we have seen when the restrictions were lifted, a lot of anime events popped up. Okay, I mean, it's not just us. Everyone else wants to, you know, come on and restart those events. So a lot of anime events came by, and there was one that was kind of notable that, if I didn't hear wrongly, was closed down by the police for too many people. Because the event was, okay, see, it's a good initiative. The event was free, but the problem was that because it's free and they're so overcrowded, because everyone wanted to come out of the cage, right, you know, for 2 years. And everyone is so eager to go into the event that it literally congested the hall so badly that there are people who fainted in the hall, to the point that paramedics came by and even the police was notified on this, to the point that the second day event was totally cancelled. So other events as well, right? Even the paid events, we could see that those which don't have a limit, right, it was crowded. You could see from this trend that everyone caged for 2 years wants to come out now. There will definitely be the demand, but the problem is that can you meet that demand? Because everyone is just restarting, and even at the time in the Armada, the hotel, right, when we were liaising with them, the resource for foreign workers and all workers in the hotel was even not up to par to manage and upkeep all rooms, all 100% of the rooms in the hotel. It was only running at maybe 2/3 or 3/4 of the capacity that they had. So with these factors, you know, thinking back, that having to limit the event is not really a bad thing at that time, because we just wanting to make sure that the event could at least run and is running in a scale that is bearable, you know.
Well, when you guys coming back, was everything smooth? Like for last year, for 2022, like you guys came back and everything, did everything go smoothly? Or
I think it's pretty good, I would say, in terms of like what we managed to run last year. I think it's pretty decent. I mean, of course, like panels, the timing for panels was still a little bit delayed at some situations, but generally I think for the bulk of it, I would say it was on point.
Like no big issues, just like, you know, you did the best you could, but pretty good overall.
Yeah, we were able to expand the new area as well, for, you know, with the help of hotel, to allow us to access the car park area a little bit better, you know, and to give you guys a bit more space to eat. Yeah, it was very, very fortunate to have all this.
Do you guys have any funny or interesting stories from the condo? Or it could even be like post firm or pre firm. But do you have anything like any funny stories or any interesting things you wanna share about the con last year, which is only a month ago, I guess. I should be saying.
Let me think. I think Foster, you want to go first?
If you guys have, yeah, I can go ahead with one of these. If you guys have take a note how we run the forum. Or most of our con, right, feels a bit more like a Western cons. If you guys have noticed, all this culture, right, it started off. I also never attended con before when I met City in the first place. So run this con in the way that's what we are running right now is he actually brought me over to the Australian cons, and then as well as Eurofurence the year after, I think. So yeah. And then that actually give me a lot of this inspiration to help them to run this panel called the Model First. I think these pretty unique things. Yeah. So as well as the last year was very special for us because like over the 2 years, I think there's a lot of people getting more and more accessible to vehicles. So yeah. Last year Model First turnout was very, very good.
So what do you guys do at that panel or at that activity? What do you guys do?
Of course, most of the panel is about show and shine. So everybody here to show the car, cool. Yeah. The best part of it is we have friends coming over from Singapore with their car, and it was epic.
Yeah. I guess to add on this before we go to the funny topics. So I guess that's what makes us a little bit more different from the conventions here in the Asia or at least Southeast Asia region is that we have been trying to incorporate Moto First into it, and obviously it was seen from overseas conventions, right? They have car gatherings, people like cars, right? In the convention and in EF, there's always a very large group. Confazo also a very large group. So we decided to try it out, and even for our very first firm, we tried it out as well because again we have a small group of us that likes cars. We own some cars and. We just have like a kind of like a gathering there, and so we have been including it every year in FURUM itself, and I think that's probably one of the special things that is in FURUM at the moment because that makes FURUM a bit more unique.
Oh yeah. I don't know any other con that does that, like the Mortifers and like the show and tell kind of stuff with the cars. Yeah, I'm not really into cars, so I went down there. Like I think it takes place in the parking garage. Is that right?
Yeah.
And like I went down there, took pictures. Canis was there. I think Canis is really into driving cars. I feel like he's definitely a fan, but I don't know any other con that does something like that. That's really unique.
At least within the Southeast Asia region at the moment. Yeah, because obviously we have seen like Japan, there is a small group there. Just that of course language barrier to me is a little bit of the issue, but there is Foster's been there. I think can vouch for that.
Their song is way more cooler, man.
Yeah, and definitely in
they have all the Hachirokus.
No, definitely, and of course like in all the other Western cons, there's always been a Murufers group that happens.
Yeah, because like some people drive to the con. If you like live close enough, you could just simply drive. Like you don't have to take a plane. And all that. Yeah, we don't really have that in Taiwan. We don't really have we have some people who drive, but we don't really have a motor furs group. But yeah, public transit is already pretty good enough. But I mean, I live in the city where it's like harder to like you have to find a parking space and all that, and you have to pay for that. And
yeah, that's the culture. That's why that is the difference. Like in Thailand, in Taiwan, you guys are living in a city that's mainly relying on the public transport. Yeah, so you guys mostly with with public transport instead. That's how I put it.
Yeah. Going back to what CT was saying earlier, did you have like a funny story you want to share from like last year?
Funny story for last year. Funny story. I can't really think of like many exact ones, but I guess one of it would be more of like unfortunately that was a bit of my mistake. It was during the
all right,
the registration portion, right, where they're giving out the shirts, right, and then they were giving out super sponsors and sponsors on the early collection on Friday, right?
Yep.
So everything's going smooth, right? Got everything, because like the problem is this year is I was the one who was handling all the goodie bags as well. buying all the stuff online, and also the prints, the shirts, the posters, everything. I was the main person printing for the bulk of the goodie bag stuff. So it's a one-man task on everything, and I basically pulled it off. But then right as like we were closing off for registration, and suddenly they're saying, hey, seems that like the shirts, like they're running out. Okay, did you like leave some shirts at home and so on? So like, oh, I mean, it can't be like it's I brought everything from home, like I don't think I left anything from home, right? So like, how can there be a shirt shortage when we like took from the form? We kind of looked at the form, and based off that, right, ordered the shirts from the quantity on the form, right? The problem is that we forgot to factor in that we were giving 2 shirts to the super sponsors instead of 1, and I've ordered
like 2 different shirts.
We're providing
like,
the sponsor and super sponsor shirts to the super sponsor.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, I forgot to factor in that. So like, it took me a while to realize of that. I think, and the surprising thing is that I think no one actually realized of that until when we actually were running out of shirts. So that was a bit of a blunder, but.
How did you resolve the issue? Like did you need to order more shirts?
So we had to do an IOU. I mean, at one point I was a bit like just thinking of like how to resolve it quickly, like whether to give out extra shirts from our past years, but then we just decided to like order and pass on to them. So yeah, I mean, it's I don't know if it's like exactly funny, but basically we basically took the entire team a few seconds to process like, why did the shirts go? Like we were like trying to investigate like how could the shirts not be enough, right? But yeah, then we found out, crap, we were giving 2 shirts instead of 1, so we did not add on the sponsor shirt count for the super sponsors. So yeah. Yeah,
that's hilarious. Well, you're a very honest person.
So
you're an honest person.
Yeah, I wouldn't mention that in the opening ceremony. So I say we were quite transparent on things. So if it's a mistake, it was a mistake. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's been resolved. So I think Marvin has pretty much received the shirts and been sending out to the IOU folks who have not gotten their shirts. So yeah, we're thankful for the participants' understanding for that minor blunder. So yeah, that's I guess the only incident that was a bit funny that I can think of, because like it literally took us quite a bit.
What about like,
because like if you're saying about funny things like during 2022, I can't really think of like that many, but like if previous years there were some are they funny moments.
All right, can you tell me tell me one one like funny story from a previous year?
The most obvious one is we've always been using this foldable tent as a changing room. I think ever since the first FURUM we always had that, right? But the problem is that we unfold it, it's easy to unfold, but whenever we pack up, no one knew how to fold it back. So it's like
there wasn't an instruction as well.
Maybe there was, but we forgot, and we always forget how to fold it back. Like we
might misplace it.
We literally spend like half an hour or more at times trying to figure it out, and like we just like almost wanted to give up and just like lump it in the back of my car.
Is it like a partition? Is it like a screen that you said is for the changing room?
It's a foldable changing room tent, should I say?
Oh yeah. Like I think I remember seeing that at the room party, and then like someone was trying to
That's
at least
probably
I think I saw
one
it. Like
of
someone was
the
trying
years
like someone was like tackling it.
That's why we all had this joke that the folding tent, the folding changing room tent, we call it the Millennium Puzzle, as a reference to from I think Yu-Gi-Oh! The Millennium Puzzle. So we call it the Millennium Puzzle. And like it has come to the point that we have given up at that time that say that, hey, whoever folds this thing will get free dinner, things like that. So like we actually
and you own it, right? You own up to that. You actually pay for the dinner.
At one point was giving some money, and like the other one was like, okay, so like
I want to do it now.
So
give
like
it to
we
me.
were joking, like because last time one of our Singaporean friends, Braveheart, I think he came by and he was the one who managed to figure out folding it. So we're joking because like this year, I guess coming back to 2022, I just joke with him saying that, oh no, you're not here this year. Who's going to fold the Millennium Puzzle? So yeah, but thankfully the second one we bought, the instructions were quite clear. So we managed to fold it up properly.
Just a quick clarification. So it's like a tent, right? Like it's like a tent that you like Like, is it so
It's
you
like
actually go in the tent and you change, or what?
Yeah, it's like a monolith, a very small monolith. That's all.
Yeah, you can search like foldable changing room tent. You should have some generic options that appear. Again, it's those that you release, and it pops up, and then they can, can unzip and get into it to change and fold it.
I see.
So
right.
It's meant for outdoor use when you go for camping. All these things.
Yeah. The funniest thing that happened to me, like in Malaysia, I guess I'll say, this happened after the con, and I know this is gonna jog CT's memory. I think Foster was there as well. I think you were like behind us, but I think it was like me, CT, and Kusu, and then maybe two other guys, probably Alexia. I think he was like next to me or Kusu in the back. And then I remember that someone did something to CT on the road, like the person either cut you off or something, and you got really mad. And then you started chasing him, I think, and I don't know why. Then you were going like over like 100 kilometers per hour, and then like I'm strapped to my seat. I can feel my heart beating like in my head. I was like, oh god, dude, like, is this gonna be it for me? All right.
Oh, is it? I can't remember.
But I don't know what happened. Do you remember that? It was like 2018. It's 2018. Like,
I think it was like the dinner that we drove all the way to, I think USJ there. I think, if I remember wrong.
I can't remember.
Isn't it?
But
yeah.
But you were chasing him for like over like 20 seconds or whatever. I was like, oh my god, dude, I don't even know where we're going now. Like I this is my first time in this country, and like I'm being driven by CT. Like I probably didn't think I was gonna die that day, but I'm like, half of me was like, man, if I'm getting a car accident, this is gonna be crazy. Oh. I don't have insurance, but no, that was funny. Yeah, I mean, I never bought that. Maybe I should, but yeah, all the websites keep saying I should buy it, but no, I mean, like that was pretty funny. It wasn't like no one died. Like obviously, to finish the story, like no one got hurt, no one died. I think the guy just like off or whatever, the guy you were like chasing. But I was like, damn, I did not expect you were gonna do that, because like for the audience to know, like CT is a pro driver.
Not that.
Like I remember,
just above average.
Like
I mean, Foster.
We haven't even talked about we haven't even talked about
better than me. He has more track experience than me. I'm just above average.
We haven't even talked about
I'm above average.
We got to talk about Blastacars, because like it's like the post like events for FURUM, and then like I remember even Kiba from Singapore beat me at racing, and I think like probably Polar was laughing at me on the inside, and I think like Rain was like, okay, yeah, we know you're a noob. You just this is not the little leagues. And I was like, when I saw it was like Canis, Foster, and then like probably CT like in the final like race order, I was like, yeah, dude, this is like the big leagues. Can you guys talk about Blastacars? Because I think like we haven't got to that point yet.
I can talk about it. I'll let Foster talk on this.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, Blastacars actually electric. No, it's not electric. It's just a go-kart for drifters, and everyone just went there is supposed to get a time, and as well as take the corner as nice as you can. But I remember the time when we host the event after the FURUM, it was hosted as a competition format. And you guys, I saw you guys had a lot of fun.
I had fun, but I didn't have fun getting hit. I got hit in the ass a lot of times. I should have wore gloves, because I think they give you gloves, but like actually my skin was tearing up like after a round or two. I was like, damn it, man, fucking suck. I think I was like the grandma driver. I'm not good at driving, that's why I should let everyone know. Like, I'm from Texas, but I suck at driving. So like I lost my like whatever, like my seed or whatever it's called, like the people I was going up against. I lost against them. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna talk to like other people. Yeah.
But yeah, the time of the event was actually pretty long. And I see you guys that some of you guys haven't tried before, as some of you guys did. You guys built out the confidence like nobody business. After 3 rounds, I saw you guys like almost like a professional driver. I remember.
Not me. That's Kiba. That's Kiba and like someone else. That is not me. It's like Kiba and Polar and some other people. It's fun. It's fun though. Like, because I remember like you had to, because like to sign up for the event, you have to like say it on the Google Forms, right? Like you have to like let you guys know how much, and then do you prepay? I think, is it prepay or you pay on site?
It's prepaid. Okay. Most of it are prepaid. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The craziest thing was actually the owner threw a surprise to you guys. For the last race, he actually decided to put the talcum powder on the last corner. The best part was I see everybody spin out when they hit the corner. Then go straight into the wall.
Yes, I was like, oh no, it's like super slippery. But yeah,
you guys had so much confidence, doing the best time ever, man. And then suddenly like, oh my god, everyone just spun out on the corner, and they were laughing like nobody was there.
I felt that like the talcum powder might have spread across the track, so it made the entire track a bit slippery. So yeah,
literally, because it was on your tire.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think the nice thing about that is since like we went to the place when Foster had his birthday there as like a trial run, then like ever since then we've been in contact with the owner, and it's been pretty cool that it's one of the few places that they allow us to drive in fursuit, because it's not very fast, because it's a bit different. The reason is because it's not a kart for speed, it's a kart to go sideways. Because time is one of the factors in gauging like who is like having better times, but I think mainly it's about the drifting and being a slow speed drifting course, right? It's quite nice that you can do it in fursuit, and it can be challenging as well. So that's why like we have it as an unofficial event for FURUM. After the event, right, we managed to Foster has managed to organize it for a few years at least.
Yeah, that was really cool. That's legit. Like that's one thing that like, you know, we're talking about like things that FURUM does that's different. Like I know it's like a post FURUM event, but I feel like here in Taiwan, I think we don't have that. Like we don't have like a group that goes like go-karting. I think the closest thing we have to something like that is like I think they do like airsoft. I think like Polar and like Muma and like Langye, they do airsoft. I'm not sure if they still do that.
I went to the event. It's epic.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
That, what year was that? Are you talking about like 2019?
2019. Yeah, 2019.
Yeah. The year before. Because like, that's like the thing I know that they do. And then like for Tie Tails, like even now, if you guys check the chat, they're doing like the gun range stuff. But I think that's before. That's like before the con. So I think because I
mean,
I don't know if we have a lot of gun ranges in Taiwan, so like I'm not sure we can do that. But I think in Thailand, like I think maybe they have like more loose regulations or something like that.
I think most of them are playing the what they call it, the BB guns. They're shooting the plastic bullet type and the gel bullet type.
The airsoft.
Yeah, so none of us are actually using the actual guns. But the one that went in Taiwan was very nice because it's an underground event. You just went underneath and there's the place to shoot around is so big. I think there were about 2 or 3 halls.
But yeah, basically, you know, as we were saying about this, you know, I guess this is what I call a bit of like the personal touch. You know, again, thankfully we're able to go about this, right? Having some after FURUM activities, as we call it, and of course, one of the other things that we used to do, which we haven't been able to do, we used to have like this very big dinner. I mean, after the convention, and we always have it at like Muni, like one of those big, as we call it, mamak places, right, for overnight supper.
Was it Indian
dinner places? So we used to do that. Very large tables, right, all eating together for at least a couple of years.
That's like after the con. That's like Monday after the con.
It was Sunday night. By that time, we didn't have like, you know, the dance at night, so it was feasible. But you know, as we grew, it's not so easy to go about it. We did once or twice, but not at the same location. At a different location before Blastacars, we did have some kind of like dinner meet. But again, for like, you know, the last year it's been a bit hard because of timing. And like even for Blastacars, you know, due to the pandemic and the changes in the situation, shortage of staff, they've only opened till like 8 p.m. 8 to 9. So, you know, we only have time to run it at late hours, but we have to forego some of the after FURUM activities.
So did you guys end up doing Blastacars again, like for last year, or
unfortunately
no? We didn't manage to do it.
Sure. No problem. Always this year, I guess.
We see,
and hopefully I'll be there.
Yeah, we'll see their policy then. See whether they have changed to night race or not.
Yeah. You know, we've been talking a lot about FURUM and like about the origins and like how it's been running and the stuff that you've been doing. You know, there's definitely a lot of stuff we can keep talking about, but like, where do you see FURUM, you know, the next 5 years? Do you want to move hotels, or like, do you want to do something different? So like, what do you guys have in store for us? If you're allowed to say that, of course.
FURUM in 5 years. Well, to be honest, we are kind of looking towards some form of successor planning, should I say, quote unquote. Foresee. I mean, it could run it for a number of years more, but we should see. Eventually, it's gonna be some time, right, where we have to hand off to some young ones, or to hand the baton to people who
are the next generation.
At the moment, where do I see it in 5 years? I would think that we will still be running it for now, at least up to within the 10-year mark, and then we will reevaluating every 5 years. Sure. So it probably will still be the same. Yeah, it should go on. And in terms of whether we're planning to move hotels, it depends really. If we really run out of space, it's in a comfortable position now. Yeah, I know it's something that attendees maybe might find that it's a bit boring going back to the same place, but I think that's just how it is, right? Because the main purpose of a convention isn't really the venue, but more of the meeting of your friends. That is the key importance. Right, the venue is just a secondary place to supplement your primary objective. So hotels, yes, we always have been looking at alternatives. We also have looked at some alternatives, which we won't tell you now, but the problem is the cost is still not very feasible. So we've not decided to move there yet. Right, different city, probably not, because again, we always look for convenience, right?
Yeah. So you're trying to stay in KL or like the KL area?
Yes, of course we would hope to, because that is the convenience, right? I mean, you don't want people flying in after a 10-hour flight just to find that they need to drive up 3 hours more or fly another hour more to their destination, right? So
what about like another city like JB or something like that, or is that just not
like I say, the problem is that people who fly in from far away, and it's good for Singaporeans, but the problem is for the rest, right? It will be a bit of a trouble for them as well, right? You got to drive down. I mean, especially people who stay around, and those who flew in, right? You got to travel some additional miles just to get to your location. And unless if there was some really good use case to move to JB, or to have it in JB, but at the moment, we don't really see it as a need. And we prefer to keep it within the city and so on, because it's just more convenient for folks coming in from around the world. So that's why again we are expanding our staff and all, right? We're recruiting a few additional folks, but I think mostly it will still remain, and we will continue on and see how things play out in the next couple of years.
And if Foster want to add anything to that?
Not much, but then we also do hope that we would have competition called what they call this convention here in Malaysia as well. So it wouldn't be just us running the con in Malaysia. We're also hoping for more people that will come out to different options, different time, for all of us.
So you mean like you're open to other cons popping up in Asia or in Malaysia?
Yeah, why not?
And definitely.
It gives options.
Like I said, it also takes off some of the stress of running the only convention here so far. I mean,
your shoulders must hurt.
Like I said, we are not here for fame or for money. I think it's truly a hobby. It's just truly
exactly.
Friends gathering. Few folks with excess money.
Yeah.
Of course, and recently Alexia came in as well. That's why thankfully we have a bit more budget to pump up for the hotel. I mean, he's in already as a director, but he's in just recently decided to help to pump out a bit more money, right, to get the bigger venue. So thankfully for that.
Yeah. That's nice, and thank you, Alexia. Please come on the show. Can we convince him?
Probably won't.
Sorry.
But that's why we're fortunate that we have this opportunity. So that's why again we will still expand, right, with what we have, and again our organization is very. We're very dynamic, and we try to adapt to whatever situation we have. So regardless of whatever happens, I think the convention will still happen. Maybe depending on circumstances, it will be bigger, it could be smaller, but it'll still be there for the next 5 years, I foresee.
I really hope that you guys have the staff members and volunteers ready to take the helm, because that's something that you do have to think about when you're running cons, is successorship. Because unless you want to be running cons all the way till you're 60, I guess some people would do that, but it's just there are other things you want to do. There might be other hobbies you want to explore, or you might just get sick of it or tired of it. And some people just want to do things. that's why it's always important to like cultivate those staff members and those volunteers that are ready to take the responsibility whenever that happens. You do have to train, and if you want to keep this thing going, then that just has to be part of like the built-in like training mechanism that any convention should probably have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely hope so.
I know you mentioned that you're a very lean team, but I really hope that, you know, like with more blood, like new blood coming in, hopefully like they'll bolster your ranks, and hopefully there's going to be people who, like I said, like rise to the occasion and like take the helm. I think FURUM is special to me, even though I've only been there once. I've had a good time at FURUM. I definitely don't plan on like stopping. Like I definitely want to come back again, and I would definitely love to see you guys again. Yeah,
definitely can come by. And well, yeah, there's also one more thing that I think a lot of attendees have been asking, like, you know, the days, right? We're still a 2-day convention. Again, whether it will be a 3-day or more, again, it all depends on the resource and whether we're able to do it. But again, like I said, we will adapt based on what we have. So if basically we have been blessed with more resources, you know, a good career with a pay raise and more disposable income, then yeah, maybe. So,
you're right. You know. Amen. This sounds a good thing. We all want that. All right, CT Foster, it's been a great interview. I'm glad to have you guys here. We just have one last question for you tonight, and that is, what would you say is like the best piece of advice that you would give someone if they're just starting out a con in Malaysia for the first time?
All right, I'll go first. So I would say, well, for anyone who wants to start, okay, first make sure that you have a, you know, stable income. Make sure that you are financially stable to go about it, right? And put in as much effort as you can and resource that you have, right, to start off something that is scalable to the level that you're capable of, because you don't want to overcomplicate things. And again, you know, we're doing this to let people have a good time, you know. Just remember that this is the most important aspect of running a convention, right? Letting people have a good time. So make it smooth. Just make sure you start off with whatever resource to a size scaled to your resource level, and then progress from there.
Yeah, CT. As for, you know, as a fellow con host as well, yeah, it's very, very important that, you know, to run the con, to set up everything there according to the resource you have. You don't have to overdo anything. You're not supposed to, you know, show everybody you can do this on all you only can do by yourself. So it's all about teamwork here. So it is important to learn how to work together with everybody else, and that's how you can make this convention even more successful than anyone else.
Yes, definitely. That's also a good point, Foster, whereby, you know, if a team, if you can get some folks to help you out, do try to play by your team's strength. You will know as you meet people, have them do tasks, right? And, you know, try to adapt and associate tasks that, you know, those people who are good at. Basically, if, you know, for example, is good at doing these kind of jobs, you know, you can see from there, and then you try your best to allocate that person to do the things that he's good at.
Yeah, great piece of advice. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. At this point in time, this is when we do our social media shout out. So again, CT can go first, and then Foster, basically tell us and like spell out your any kind of social media that you want us to follow you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll start first. So yeah, you can reach me out on Twitter. My handle is CTWolf88. That's like CTWOLF88. And on the sidelines, I do sometimes stream on Twitch as well, which goes by the handle of FlowCT, because someone has took my name. That would be FLOWCT.
And as for my side, you can actually find me at Twitter at Hoarder Collie, just HOARDERCOLLIE, and as well as Facebook, Foster Force, FOSTRFORCE. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being on the episode, on the podcast. We really appreciate you guys talking about FURUM and telling us more about Malaysia. Thank you so much. Again, I would love to visit you guys again, so we'll definitely keep in touch about that. If I don't see you guys in Taiwan, then I guess see you in Malaysia.
Yeah, do look forward meeting you, man.
Yes, we'll see in Taiwan. Hopefully this year we can come by. A few of us are thinking of doing the crazy round trip, but we shall see whether it's possible to do Infinity, BLFC, and Furcon at one go. But we are thinking about it. But
cheers to that.
We'll definitely let you know if we come by.
Sure. Cheers to that. Thank you guys so much. All right. So this has been the Fox and Burger podcast with Michael the Matcha Fox, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.
Toodaloo.